Welcome to AzureCon. I hope you're having a great conference. Today, we're going to talk about Hasura, subscriptions, and Hasura Cloud. I invite you to the story about how Crowdcast adopted and uses Hasura today. To kick things off, I'll just quickly introduce Crowdcast. So Crowdcast is an online video streaming service. The idea is that anyone in the world with a browser and a webcam can share ideas or topics that they're passionate about or knowledgeable about, and share that to an audience anywhere in the world. Here you can see our mission. We're on a mission to empower anyone to build community, share their ideas, and make a living doing what they love. And this is what drives us, and this is why we exist. To start things off on how we got involved with Hasura, I want to take things back to March of 2020. So if you were to look at Crowdcast or visit Crowdcast at that time, this is what you would see. In this case, we're waiting for an event to start. Once the event starts, we would see the content, the screen share, the web cameras fill in on the left-hand side here. And on the right-hand side, we have a chat or all the engagement tools for the audience. So question and answer and polls as well. So this is what Crowdcast looked like in March of 2020. The stack that we were built on, so we had an Angular front end backed by Node and running on Heroku. We also had Firebase and MongoDB on the back end as well. And this is what the stack looked like at the time, and everything was going just fine, serving the customers at the time. And then the pandemic hit, and we can see here within a few weeks, a couple of days really, we started seeing major traffic volumes as the government, at least here in the United States and some worldwide, shut down kind of physical contact, or everyone needed something online in some way to conduct business. And Crowdcast was one of those products that was ready to serve that problem. And this, of course, is a great business opportunity for Crowdcast, but it does come with technical challenges. For us specifically, to zoom in on what our kind of V1 stack was challenged with, the chat was a major issue for us. So having that many people conversing online at the same time, we were not ready for, especially the major increase in traffic. Registrations, so someone creates an event and shares it online, and now thousands of people want to join all at once. Again, not something we were yet accustomed to. And then monitoring. So as things scale up, we had a lot of blind spots in terms of what was working well and what was not. And we were not set up to to zoom in on those issues. So these were some challenges we were presented with. In terms of specific breaking points, so more around 1,000 people chatting all at once really caused us stress at the platform as well. 3,000 people trying to register all caused issues on the platform. And then we had all kinds of other issues breaking. The scale just highlighted weak points of the code. And so these are the things that were an issue for us. Initially, we just wanted to keep the platform running. So we optimized the code base. We built all kinds of scripts to alert us, to collect logs, to reset things, all of that, kind of the obvious stuff. And then we moved some of the heavy workloads, so the chat and other items to serverless technology, so DynamoDB in our case, just to get the stress off the system and to serve our customers that were coming in and needing a solution. Once we got settled and the platform was serving the new customer base, new customer demands, we had to make some decisions around what to do with, now our patched work solutions versus, new traffic that might be coming and limits that we were projected to hit. And so we had some decisions to make around whether we could make the patchwork a long-term solution, or if we needed to bring up a new fresh stack that could better serve our customer demands. At the end, we decided to build up a new stack called Crowdcast V2 to serve our customers and the demand. There was many different business objectives for this platform, but 3 that are relevant to today's conversation. So compatibility with old data sources. So we wanted to bring up the V2 stack alongside the V1 stack, allow users to jump back and forth between the various stacks, and also to slowly bring over people from the V1 stack to the V2 stack. So that was a concern for us. Scalability, right? So we have all these limits. We want a major reason to work on this V2 stack is to break those limits currently, but also future-proof them as well. And then developer velocity. So we're trying to get this stack up and running as fast as we can, and we need help in doing that. The stack we chose, so React on the front end, Node.js, again, as the server. We also have TypeScript in there, so really making it a modern stack here. This is all powered by Hasura and Lambda, and then Postgres and MongoDB on the database side. When it comes to Hasura, it really connected the dots for us and really helped us achieve those business objectives we mentioned earlier. Specifically, connecting to the legacy data. So we have the V1 stack and the V2 stack here, and using things like remote schema from Hasura allows us to modernize our V1 APIs and really pull data in as we needed it. Actions and triggers helped us keep the 2 stacks up to date as various data changed or things needed to be updated. So we were very helpful, or that was very helpful for us. Then next, looking at scalability, right? So this is a very broad term. So to kind of zoom in on what it means for Crowdcast, we want to bring back the mission that we saw earlier. And here we want to serve everyone and allow them to share their ideas. But the critical thing is there's really nothing about limits. So we don't want our users to be artificially constrained by the number of, by the technology. So they should be able to bring an audience of any size, and we should allow them to share their ideas to that audience. And so this is our concern, and this is what we're constantly trying to improve and scale. So what specifically do we need to scale to serve these customers and their use cases, right? So the first thing we need to scale is pretty obvious around the webcams, the screen shares, the videos, music, all sorts of content that they want to bring to the conversation to convey their message. The second thing we need to scale that's a little bit more Crowdcast centric is the engagement tools. And so allowing the host and the presenters and the audience to have a two-way conversation is that's a very important part to the Crowdcast experience. And so we say, engagement is critical for us, and subscriptions is a way for us to provide that low latency environment between the host and the audience. And this is where this is kind of what we need to scale and how we're going to do that. So we kind of know why we want to scale. We know what we want to scale. We kind of have an idea of how we want to scale, but we don't really know the stack yet or how we're going to do this, right? So is it something we use with Hasura, or do we do something else? And for us, the decision was pretty obvious from the beginning. Hasura gives us lots of benefits. So for one, it's easy to set up and consume. So I'm not really sure if it's minutes or hours, but certainly within some super reasonable time frame, developers can stand up the environment and start seeing immediate business value. And that was very important to us. Easy to scale. In our case, we just offload all those challenges to the Hasura team via the cloud offering. So that was very easy decision for us. And then again, the monitoring tools. So, back to our V1 stack where we had all these blind spots and we didn't really know where to look. We were very paranoid about that, and we wanted to have more tools at our disposal this time around. And Hasura, especially Hasura Cloud, is very good at providing these tools for us. So we kind of see how the subscriptions are, we kind of chosen Hasura for subscriptions at this time. So we'll look at the UI and how this all comes together. So here we can see the general outline of what a crowdcast looks like. We see the folks in the middle there having an engaging conversation around their topic of choice. On the right-hand side, we see the chat messages that have been filled in from the audience at this time. We also see some emojis there, maybe on the top, so reactions to these chat messages, so that the audience is engaging, the host and the audience are engaging on chat here, and obviously the folks on screen are conversing amongst themselves as well. And this is the general framework or fabric of a crowdcast. So another same structure, crowdcast here. In this case, though, we have a question that is on stage that the three folks are having a conversation around or answering for the audience. So what happened here was an audience member asked a question. Maybe the rest of the audience members upvoted that question to get the attention of the folks presenting. They then brought that question on stage, having a conversation about it, answering the question, and all of that is done in real time. And finally here, a different kind of layout. So we can actually manipulate all of these cameras. They're not fixed, so we can change the layout. We can bring on different content. We can bring on a screen share. We can bring on music, video, whatever it is that helps folks convey their message. And here we can see the two presenters on screen being assisted by an ASL interpreter and being able to share their message via sign language to folks who require that, or to those who require it. So if we zoom in on the UI here to kind of really focus on how how subscriptions are tying all this together. So on the right-hand side, there's kind of some small yellow markers. So you may not be able to read it, but there's 1, 2, and 3 on the right-hand side here. And those are pointing to our audience engagement tools. So chat is all powered by Hasura subscription. So if you send a message or receive a message, that's all happening in real time. Number 2 here is around the question and answer. So if I submit a question, that's everybody else receives that over a subscription. I can upvote that question as well. Again, that all gets resorted and presented to everybody so they all can see how the questions are ranking and things like that. And then the polling. So polling is a major thing for the host. So the host here could ask or poll the audience to understand their interests, maybe areas that they need to focus on, their content on, maybe some background they need to provide in order to have their message be absorbed better. So these are all done by subscriptions here. Number 4, you can see on the tile there, again, the layouts and all the content that are being brought in and shared to the audience can be manipulated and hidden or brought on and zoom in, zoom out. All that is done via subscriptions. And then on the bottom here, we see the live count, which is, you can't read it here, but it's 5,000 something here. But the number of people who are inside the Crowdcast event, and that is going up and down as people join and leave, and again, all real time done over subscriptions. So now you can see everything's in place. You can see, why we chose subscriptions and how we're doing it, and the value that it brings, and how it all ties into serving our customers. But how are we scaling this, right? How are we going to do this again and again to run, 10, 20, 30, 100 events all at the same time? And for us, the answer there is Hasura Cloud. And kind of give a little background on kind of how we got there. So kind of going back to March or 2020 timeframe, we started on self-hosted. So actually quite a bit of work. So we had to, we put it on AWS Fargate. We built all sorts of GitHub actions to help us get that onto a development environment and various, staging and production environments, and keep that up to date and all that stuff there. And it served us well. That's how we got started. That's our story. And then in middle of 2022, we started to need more. So we joined the Hasura Cloud platform and had not looked back at all. So kind of looking back at the beginning there, the 2 years that we were using self-hosted, cost effective at the start, although I think trade-offs show up earlier than anybody expects, especially when you start to need more than one or two containers there. But also the other thing that it provides was an on-ramp for us, so we can build tooling, developer education, getting things situated inside of our architecture. This was probably the critical part for us to get settled on Hasura. And some things that we found out during the self-hosted phase was that we needed more insights. We didn't get or have the monitoring tools that we needed, and Hasura Cloud was advertising those, and definitely a major reason that we were looking that direction. Also, we're starting to spend too much time managing this AWS Fargate solution that we had set up, and it was starting to distract from the core work that we needed to do to serve our customers. And then finally, now that we've got our legacy data connected, we've got our subscriptions going, we understand the value, we've seen it scale, so all that's happening, great. The third thing is developer velocity. So again, this was really important for us. We needed to get our V2 stack up and running and out the door, and Hasura was a huge factor in that. So helping our web, iOS, and Android teams all consume the same data, more or less self-service. Really important for us to be able to perform and keep things consistent there. Future plans. So just wrapping up here. So we're looking, we're moving towards 100,000 folks per event. We're looking at higher engagement, so constantly looking at better, faster, easier, more streamlined engagement between the audience and the host. That's really where we focus a lot of our attention. And then part of that is Hasura streaming subscription. So this is something that we're currently engaged with and working on. And finally, thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to how Crowdcast got started here. Hopefully it provides insights to your journey. And if you want to learn more about Crowdcast, you can go to crowdcast.io. If you want to learn more about Hasura, of course, stick around at HasuraCon or visit the website there. I'd also say, don't hesitate to try it for yourself. Get a free trial and start figuring out if it's a good fit for you and get it going in your architecture. That's super easy, and I wouldn't hesitate to do that. Thank you again, and I hope you have a great rest of HasuraCon.